Well, I think the economists have tried to give us exactly how the economy has performed, particularly looking at the indices, the issue of inflation, the issue of purchasing power of Nigerians, but importantly is also the positive aspects, which clearly states that you recalled we're in an economy that was in recession, and cost of goods and services at the time actually soared very high, particularly food items. But I think clearly from what he has said, some of the positives is the fact that we expect that there will be growth in the economy, because the performance of the economy invariably also affects the performance or the lifestyle or how Nigerians will fare. And that's why Labour always is interested in the performance of the economy. If you look at the indices and what has happened, that's why clearly from the issue of cost of goods and services, that's how the issue of minimum wage became an issue to the workers, because one is very clear from the analysis that the purchasing power of workers was actually affected by some of the cost of goods and services. But I think clearly workers will be so much interested in how we're able to make sure that the economy works, because it's when the economy works that the life of Nigerians will be affected. Because all this theory, I believe that what will make it work is actually if we're able to reduce items that we can produce here at home. Particularly, I don't think we need to import items that we don't need. And I think that has been the bane of our economy. Most of our forex and exchanges goes on importing items that are not necessary. Well, today we have become one of the highest producers of rice in the world. We have overtaken Egypt. That is positive. And I think we should go into other sectors, textile, manufacturing. We should actually add value. Where we have comparative advantage, like the issue of agriculture, we should be able to add value that will actually earn us foreign exchange, and that will assist. Secondly, this issue of refining capacity is also something that is very central, because I listened to him carefully about this issue of subsidy. We can end the regime of subsidy, because clearly you can see that despite the fact that we have tried to address many other issues, the challenge in the oil and gas sector have remained, because we have not been able to utilize our potential effectively, which will create jobs, which is part of what he has raised, that certainly the issue of jobs will be a problem, which will also assist in generating revenue to actually address the issue of infrastructure. But by and large is the issue of tax. Today in Nigeria, the facts are very obvious. What is our tax to GDP? It's only workers that pay the correct tax. In fact, I was reading recently, politicians that have filled various forms to contest for political offices. If you look at what they have declared as tax, it's not something to write home about. So clearly, if we are to make progress, it's not to continue to tax the poor. It's actually to tax the rich to subsidize for the poor. This is what happens everywhere around the world. So if we want our economy actually to progress, certainly we must also look inwardly. Because I don't want us to over-rely on this prescription by IMF or World Bank. Because time and time again, they have come with the prescription of, well, let us devalue our currency. We have been devaluing our currency for the past 3 decades, and we have not seen an end to it. And therefore, this issue of the issue of exchange rate and the prescription of we must continue to devalue our currency, I think we must find a way around it. But clearly, I think with the positive signs, we should be able to make sure that those positive signs, we are able to leverage on them. And clearly, there are areas I think we can tap into, like the issue of taxation, which I think currently, in the current system, the inland revenue have done well. And I think they can still do good, because that's the main source of revenue for governments around the world. Rich must be continue to subsidize for the poor. And for the working class, why we are passionate about the minimum wage is the fact that some of the criteria and indices he has read clearly have affected workers that have fixed wages. From 18,000, you have seen some of the out-of-pocket expenses and some of the expenses, and particularly some of the costs that have actually been brought into workers. So it's also, when you also increase the minimum wage, clearly it will affect the economy, because it is a disposable income that will stimulate the economy, that will make purchasing and production to go on simultaneously. Many countries around the world have done that. In the midst of recession in the US, Obama increased the minimum wage. And his understanding is that once there is economic activity going on, workers will be able to pay for their school fees, they will be able to feed, they will be able to actually buy goods and services. So it's the income It's a disposable income that goes around and kickstart the economy so that we can be able to reduce poverty, because if the economy is doing well, our expectation is that poverty should also be reduced.
Okay,
but clearly you can see that with some of those indices, yes, there are challenges, but I think they are very positive.